Have you ever felt like you've tried everything in your power to manifest your desires, yet still find yourself stuck in the same patterns, frustrated and wondering why the law of attraction doesn't seem to work for you? What if the key to unlocking your true potential and finally aligning with the universe was hidden in plain sight, waiting for you to discover it? You are not alone. Many people struggle with the very idea of manifestation, believing they're doing everything right, yet their lives don't reflect the changes they long for. They might meditate, visualize, or recite affirmations, but still, the universe seems unresponsive. Why is that? As Dr. Joe Dispenza teaches, the brain plays a crucial role in manifesting our reality. Our thoughts, emotions, and energetic frequencies all form a coherent signal that the universe responds to. But if you've been struggling with manifestation, it's possible that this signal is misaligned, sending mixed messages to the universe. Carl Jung, in his deep exploration of the unconscious mind, suggested that the shadow, the parts of ourselves we don't consciously recognize, could be responsible for holding us back from realizing our true desires. This shadow energy often blocks the free flow of abundance, preventing us from attracting the very things we want. So why does manifestation seem so elusive? What is it that you may be overlooking, preventing you from truly aligning with the energy of the universe? In this video, we will dive deep into the hidden factors that might be sabotaging your ability to manifest and explore practical steps you can take to clear the blockages, heal your subconscious mind, and realign your energy with your deepest desires. By the end, you will have a greater understanding of how manifestation truly works and how you can begin creating the life you've always dreamed of. Let's uncover the truth about manifestation and align your energy with the universe in ways you've never considered before. The energy of manifestation and the law of attraction. Many people, despite practicing visualization techniques, affirmations, and meditation, still find themselves struggling to manifest their desires. If you've ever wondered why the law of attraction doesn't seem to work for you, it's because there's often an unspoken truth lurking beneath the surface of these practices. The real issue lies in the energy you're emitting, not just your thoughts and words, but the deeper vibrations that resonate from your subconscious mind. At the core of manifestation is energy, your frequency. Everything in the universe, from the chair you're sitting on to the thoughts racing through your mind, operates on a vibrational frequency. This frequency is what the universe responds to. However, it's crucial to understand that you cannot simply wish for things to change and expect the universe to magically align with your desires. Manifestation requires a profound alignment of your internal state with the desires you wish to see in your external reality. Joe Dispenza, a prominent neuroscientist and spiritual teacher, explains that our brains are designed to create a coherent signal that influences the universe. Your thoughts, feelings, and actions must align to send a clear signal to the universe. Unfortunately, many people unknowingly send mixed signals, resulting in a dissonance that blocks manifestation. When your conscious mind desires something, let's say abundance, but your subconscious mind holds beliefs of scarcity, the conflicting frequencies undermine your ability to manifest. Essentially, your inner world is creating resistance to what you're trying to attract into your life. Consider how your thoughts affect your body. Dispenza teaches that your body reacts chemically to your thoughts, shaping your emotional state, which in turn influences your frequency. If your emotions are misaligned with your desires, your energy will create blocks that prevent you from achieving what you want. It's a complex yet deeply powerful cycle. The state of your energy determines what you attract, and what you attract reflects the energy you are putting out. Now let's consider the unconscious mind, something Carl Jung referred to as the shadow, as an essential factor in understanding why manifestation may not work as expected. The shadow consists of the parts of ourselves that we are either unaware of or refuse to acknowledge. These parts often hold negative beliefs, past traumas, and unresolved emotions. They affect our actions and perceptions without our conscious awareness. If you haven't yet dealt with your inner shadow, it's likely causing interference in your manifestation process. For example, a person might consciously desire wealth, but subconsciously feel unworthy of it, holding on to deep-seated beliefs that they don't deserve abundance. This creates an energetic block that prevents manifestation from occurring, no matter how much they practice the law of attraction. The law of attraction is not just about thinking positive thoughts or saying affirmations. It's about aligning the conscious, subconscious, and energetic levels of your being to match the vibration of what you want to attract. When your energy is out of sync, the universe cannot give you what you desire. You might think of this alignment process as tuning a musical instrument. If your instrument is out of tune, it will not produce the desired sound, no matter how much you try to play. Similarly, if your energy is out of tune with the abundance or success you desire, no amount of thinking positively will help you manifest it. One of the biggest misconceptions about manifestation is that it's just about the act of thinking positively. While positive thinking is helpful, it's only one part of the equation. Your energy, which includes your emotional state, mental patterns, and vibrational frequency, must be in harmony with what you are trying to attract. This requires a level of self-awareness and emotional intelligence. You need to be conscious of the energies you are projecting and recognize when your inner state is misaligned with your outer desires. When you consciously raise your frequency through practices like mindfulness, meditation, and emotional healing, you begin to shift your entire energetic field. This shift happens not only in your mind, but also within your body and your subconscious. The more you learn to regulate your emotional state and clear out negative, limiting beliefs, the easier it becomes to manifest your desires. Let's take a closer look at how your subconscious mind influences the manifestation process. The subconscious mind holds the key to your beliefs, which directly impact your emotional and energetic states. If you have deeply ingrained beliefs about lack or unworthiness, these subconscious programs will override your conscious desires, blocking the flow of abundance. Bruce Lipton, a renowned biologist, explains how the subconscious mind operates like a computer, running automatic programs that were installed during childhood or through life experiences. These programs often define your reality, and they are largely responsible for whether or not manifestation works for you. If you want to manifest anything, you must begin by reprogramming your subconscious beliefs. This can be achieved through techniques like meditation, affirmations, and hypnotherapy. By identifying the limiting beliefs that are running in your subconscious, you can begin to replace them with empowering ones. When you do this, your subconscious mind will start to support your conscious desires, and you'll begin to experience a shift in your external reality as well. It's essential to note that this process is not instantaneous. Just as it takes time for a plant to grow, it takes time for the subconscious mind to reprogram itself and for manifestation to occur. The key is consistency and patience. The more you work on aligning your energy and clearing out limiting beliefs, the more your vibrational frequency will harmonize with the energy of the universe. When this happens, manifestation becomes not just possible, but inevitable. So the next time you find yourself wondering why your manifestation practices aren't yielding results, ask yourself, what frequency am I operating on? Is my energy in alignment with the abundance I seek? Am I carrying subconscious beliefs that are blocking my desires? To truly harness the power of the law of attraction, you need to align your energy, your mind, and your emotions. This is not just about saying positive affirmations or thinking happy thoughts. It's about embodying the vibration of what you wish to attract. When you do this, the universe will begin to mirror that vibration back to you. Manifestation is not just about wishing for things, it's about becoming the energetic match for them. The subconscious mind and the silent sabotage of manifestation. There is a quiet place within the human psyche where intentions are either nourished or quietly undone. This place is not reached through willpower, nor through repetition of hopeful words. It exists beneath conscious thought, operating with precision and indifference to desire. This is the subconscious mind, and its influence over manifestation is far greater than most people realize. Many individuals genuinely believe they are aligned with abundance, love, or transformation, yet their lived experience continues to reflect struggle, repetition, and stagnation. This contradiction is rarely caused by a lack of effort. More often, it emerges from unconscious programs formed long before the desire to manifest ever appeared. The subconscious does not evaluate whether a belief is true or false, helpful or harmful. It simply executes what it has learned to be familiar. Bruce Lipton described the subconscious as a biological recorder, absorbing emotional patterns primarily during early life, when the brain operates in slower, more suggestible states. During these periods, Beliefs are installed not through logic, but through emotional repetition and environmental exposure. A child does not analyze meaning, they absorb it. Over time, these internalized beliefs become automatic responses that shape perception, behavior, and emotional reactions. When someone attempts manifestation from the conscious mind alone, they are often unknowingly working against these deeper programs. The conscious mind may hold a vision of expansion, but the subconscious may still associate visibility with danger, success with loss, or abundance with guilt. In such cases, the subconscious quietly redirects behavior, emotional states, and even attention, ensuring that the familiar pattern remains intact. The universe is not resisting the person. The nervous system is preserving what it believes is safe. Carl Jung approached this phenomenon through the concept of the shadow. The shadow is not inherently negative, but it contains aspects of the self that were once rejected, suppressed, or deemed unacceptable. These aspects do not disappear. They retreat into the unconscious, where they continue to influence life from behind the scenes. When manifestation fails repeatedly, it is often because the shadow is active, expressing unresolved fear, shame, or unacknowledged grief through energetic resistance. This resistance is rarely dramatic. It appears subtly through procrastination, emotional fatigue, self-doubt that feels rational, or a constant sense of almost aligned, almost ready, almost there. These experiences are not random. They are expressions of internal incoherence, where conscious desire and subconscious memory are moving in opposite directions. Joe Dispenza often emphasizes that the body becomes the subconscious mind. Emotional patterns stored in the nervous system continue to signal the past, even when the mind imagines a different future. When the body remains chemically anchored in stress, vigilance, or unworthiness, it emits a frequency that contradicts conscious intention. The individual may visualize abundance, yet feel tension, contraction, or anxiety in the body. The universe responds not to images, but to coherence. This explains why repetition alone does not create change. Affirmations spoken from the surface of the mind cannot override emotional memory stored in the body. The subconscious responds to familiarity, not to optimism. If struggle has been familiar for decades, ease can feel foreign, even threatening. The nervous system interprets unfamiliar states as instability, triggering subtle self-regulation mechanisms that pull the person back into known patterns. There is also a deeper emotional layer often overlooked: identity. Manifestation challenges identity before it changes circumstances. If someone has unconsciously built a sense of self around endurance, sacrifice, or being the one who gets through things, then ease and flow may threaten that identity. The subconscious protects identity fiercely, even when it causes suffering. Letting go of struggle can feel like losing oneself. This is why manifestation is not a process of adding something new, but of releasing internal contradictions. When subconscious beliefs remain unexamined, manifestation efforts feel exhausting, inconsistent, and emotionally draining. The individual may feel as though they are constantly resetting, beginning again, or searching for the next method that will finally work. In reality, the system is functioning exactly as designed. Neville Goddard spoke of imagination not as fantasy, but as identity experienced internally. For imagination to alter reality, it must be accompanied by acceptance at the level of feeling. Feeling, in this sense, is not emotion alone, but familiarity. The subconscious accepts what feels natural. When a desired state feels unnatural, the system resists it without conscious awareness. This internal conflict often creates spiritual frustration. People begin to question their worth, their faith, or their capacity to align with the universe. Yet the issue is rarely spiritual failure. It is biological memory interacting with emotional history. The universe does not punish hesitation. It reflects coherence. When subconscious patterns remain active, manifestation attempts can even intensify internal tension. The more someone tries to force alignment, the more the nervous system tightens. This creates a cycle where effort increases, but results diminish. The individual begins to feel disconnected not only from manifestation, but from themselves. Understanding the role of the subconscious reframes manifestation entirely. It becomes less about effort and more about internal congruence, less about asking the universe for change, and more about allowing the nervous system to experience safety in new emotional states. When the body no longer perceives abundance as a threat, alignment begins naturally. This process unfolds gradually, often quietly. It reveals itself through subtle shifts in emotional response, changes in self-perception, and moments of calm where urgency once existed. These are not signs of stagnation. They are indicators of internal reorganization. Manifestation does not fail because the universe withholds. It falters when the subconscious is still living in a past that the conscious mind is trying to escape. When memory, emotion, and intention begin to move together, reality responds without force. Emotional coherence and the invisible dialogue. Between body and reality, there is a silent conversation happening at every moment between the body and the field of life around it. This dialogue is not spoken in words, nor shaped by intention alone. It unfolds through emotional coherence, a state in which thoughts, feelings, and physiological responses resonate in harmony. When this coherence is absent, manifestation becomes fragmented, inconsistent, and often exhausting, not because the universe is unresponsive, but because the signal being emitted lacks unity. Emotional incoherence often feels like inner contradiction. A person may sincerely long for peace, yet remain internally braced for disappointment. They may envision prosperity while their body remains tense, alert, and guarded. This internal mismatch is subtle, but powerful. The nervous system does not respond to ideas. It responds to patterns. When emotional memory continues to signal threat, loss, or instability, the body remains anchored in survival, regardless of the future the mind imagines. Joe Dispenza frequently describes coherence as the moment when the brain and heart begin to communicate in rhythm. In such moments, the body stops reliving the past and begins to experience the present with openness. This shift is not intellectual, it is visceral. The breath softens, muscles release their vigilance, attention widens. In this state, the emotional body no longer contradicts intention, it supports it. Many people unknowingly live in chronic emotional fragmentation. Their days are shaped by subtle tension, mental noise, and emotional anticipation. Even moments of rest carry an undercurrent of waiting, as if something must still be managed or controlled. This internal atmosphere generates a frequency that reinforces delay and effort, not because effort is required, but because the system does not yet recognize ease as safe. The body learns emotional patterns through repetition. Over time, these patterns become default states. Stress becomes familiar. Overthinking becomes automatic. Emotional contraction becomes normalized. When manifestation practices are layered on top of these states without addressing the underlying coherence, the result is often frustration. Visualization occurs, but the body remains unconvinced. Affirmations are spoken, but the nervous system continues to respond as if nothing has changed. This internal contradiction creates what can be felt as spiritual fatigue. The individual may feel as though they are constantly reaching, adjusting, refining, yet never arriving. The issue is not effort, it is alignment. Emotional coherence is not created by force. It emerges when the body experiences safety in the present moment. Greg Braden speaks of coherence as a biological bridge between the inner world and the external field. When emotional signals become consistent, reality responds differently, not through reward, but through resonance. Opportunities appear more fluid. Interactions feel less strained. Timing becomes less rigid. These changes are not dramatic, but they are unmistakable. Emotional incoherence often originates in unresolved emotional experiences that were never fully processed. Grief that was postponed, fear that was minimized, anger that had no space to be expressed. These emotions do not disappear, they become embedded in posture, breathing patterns, and emotional reflexes. The body remembers what the mind has learned to ignore. Carl Jung emphasized that what is not made conscious is lived as fate. Emotional incoherence is often the result of internal experiences that were never integrated. When emotions are acknowledged internally, without resistance or narrative, the body gradually releases the need to hold them. This release is not dramatic. It feels like spaciousness, like silence after noise. In coherent states, intention no longer feels urgent. Desire exists without tension. The individual no longer tries to convince reality of their readiness. The body already knows. This is why coherence precedes manifestation. Reality does not respond to wanting, it responds to being. Many misunderstand coherence as emotional positivity. In truth, coherence allows all emotions to exist without fragmentation. Sadness can be present without collapse. Joy can arise without fear of loss. Stillness can exist without boredom. The body no longer resists experience. It allows it. This allowance changes the frequency of interaction with life. When emotional coherence stabilizes, the perception of time shifts. Waiting dissolves. The future feels less distant, not because it arrives faster, but because the present no longer feels insufficient. This internal sufficiency removes the pressure that often distorts manifestation. The individual stops signaling lack and begins expressing presence. This state is not permanent, nor does it eliminate challenge. It creates resilience. When coherence is present, external fluctuations do not destabilize the internal field as easily. The body remains responsive instead of reactive. Thought becomes quieter. Emotion becomes informative rather than overwhelming. Manifestation does not require emotional intensity. It requires emotional clarity. Coherence is clarity felt in the body. It is the absence of contradiction between what is desired and what is emotionally lived. When coherence emerges, reality does not need to be pursued. It aligns naturally, through subtle cumulative shifts that feel less like achievement and more like recognition. The universe does not respond to emotional force. It responds to emotional truth. When the body no longer argues with the future, the conversation changes. Identity, time, and the illusion of control. Within manifestation, at the deepest level, manifestation is not challenged by desire, emotion, or even belief alone. It is challenged by identity. Identity is the quiet structure that organizes how reality is perceived, interpreted, and allowed. Long before someone attempts to change their life, the nervous system has already decided what kind of life feels familiar, coherent, and acceptable. This decision is rarely conscious, yet it governs what is permitted to unfold. Identity forms through repetition. Experiences, emotional roles, family dynamics, and survival strategies gradually crystallize into a sense of who I am. Over time, this sense becomes stable, predictable, and energetically efficient. The body learns how to be this person. It learns how to breathe, anticipate, protect, and endure as this person. When manifestation introduces a future that does not match this identity, the system reacts with subtle resistance, not because the desire is wrong, but because it threatens internal continuity. Many people attempt to manifest change while remaining loyal to an identity built around struggle, endurance, or emotional self-containment. They may imagine a future of abundance, ease, or connection, yet their internal sense of self is still organized around survival. The nervous system experiences this imagined future as instability, not because abundance is unsafe in reality, but because it is unfamiliar internally. Joe Dispenza often emphasizes that personality creates personal reality. Personality, in this context, is not a set of traits, but a pattern of emotional and behavioral responses reinforced over time. When personality remains unchanged, reality tends to repeat. Manifestation, then, requires not effort, but identity reorganization. This reorganization does not happen through force. It happens through gradual internal permission. Time plays a crucial role in this process. The human nervous system is deeply conditioned by past experience. Emotional memory anchors perception in what has already happened, even when the mind imagines something new. This creates the sensation of waiting. Waiting is not about the future. It is about the present being experienced as incomplete. The illusion of control emerges from this discomfort with the present. When identity feels unstable, control becomes a coping mechanism. Planning, monitoring, adjusting, and anticipating are used to reduce internal uncertainty. However, control reinforces the belief that safety exists in management rather than presence. This belief subtly interferes with manifestation, not by blocking it, but by signaling mistrust toward life itself. Carl Jung described this dynamic through the tension between the ego and the self. The ego seeks control, clarity, and predictability. The self represents the larger organizing intelligence of the psyche, moving toward integration rather than certainty. When manifestation is driven primarily by egoic urgency, it often carries an undercurrent of fear, fear of loss, fear of failure, fear of time running out. These fears are not always explicit, but they shape the energetic signal being expressed. Identity also determines how time is experienced emotionally. For someone whose identity is rooted in effort, time feels heavy and slow. Progress feels conditional. Rest feels undeserved. For someone whose identity includes trust and internal sufficiency, time feels spacious. Movement occurs without urgency. Manifestation unfolds without constant reference to outcome. This difference is not philosophical, it is physiological. The nervous system perceives time differently depending on its level of regulation. In states of internal safety, the body no longer anticipates threat. Attention settles. The future is no longer used as an escape from the present. This shift alters how reality responds, not because the universe rewards surrender, but because coherence replaces tension. Neville Goddard spoke of living from the end, not as a technique, but as a state of being. Living from the end requires that the desired state feels natural internally. This naturalness cannot be simulated. It emerges when identity begins to include the possibility of ease, fulfillment, and continuity without struggle. Until then, the imagined future remains emotionally distant. One of the most overlooked aspects of manifestation is grief. Grief for the identity that must soften. Grief for familiar struggles that once provided meaning. Grief for certainty. When identity begins to shift, there is often a quiet sense of loss. The old self no longer fits, but the new self is not yet embodied. This in-between state can feel disorienting. Many abandon the process here, mistaking discomfort for failure. In reality, this liminal space is where integration occurs. The nervous system is learning to exist without constant self-definition. Control loosens. Attention returns to the body. Emotional responses become less predictable, but more authentic. This is not regression. It is reorganization. Greg Braden often refers to coherence as alignment with natural cycles rather than resistance to them. Nature does not rush transformation. It allows transitions. Identity, when aligned with this rhythm, becomes flexible rather than rigid. The individual no longer demands immediate evidence of change. They sense it internally first. When identity no longer depends on outcome, manifestation loses its urgency. Desire remains, but it is no longer charged with tension. The future is not pursued, it is invited. This invitation carries a different frequency. It is quieter, steadier, and more receptive. Control dissolves not through effort, but through understanding. When the nervous system recognizes that safety does not depend on constant management, identity begins to expand. Time relaxes. The present becomes inhabitable. In this state, manifestation is no longer something that happens to a person. It is something that moves through them, in rhythm with who they are becoming. Reality does not resist change. Identity resists unfamiliarity. When identity softens, reality reorganizes accordingly, not as a reward, but as a reflection of internal truth. Manifestation was never meant to be a battle of will, discipline, or endless mental repetition. Throughout this journey, one truth becomes increasingly clear. What shapes reality is not the intensity of desire, but the coherence between identity, emotion, body, and perception. When manifestation feels distant or inconsistent, it is rarely because something is missing. More often, something is still holding on. The universe does not respond to urgency, struggle, or control. It mirrors internal states with quiet precision. When the nervous system remains anchored in past emotional patterns, reality reflects continuity. When identity softens and emotional coherence stabilizes, life begins to reorganize naturally, without force. This reorganization does not arrive as a sudden miracle, but as subtle shifts in timing, perception, and internal calm. What many interpret as delay is often integration in progress. The body learning safety, the psyche releasing outdated definitions, the emotional field recalibrating. These processes are invisible yet essential. They allow desire to move from imagination into lived experience without internal resistance. True alignment is not about becoming someone else. It is about removing the internal contradictions that prevent wholeness. When personality no longer argues with possibility, when emotion no longer contradicts intention, manifestation stops feeling like effort and begins to feel like continuity. Life flows not because it is commanded to, but because it is no longer resisted. This understanding restores dignity to the process. Nothing has gone wrong. No opportunity has been missed. The system has been responding faithfully all along. As internal coherence deepens, external reality follows, not as proof but as confirmation. Manifestation, at its core, is not about creating a different future. It is about becoming present enough to allow the future that already resonates with who you are becoming. Before you leave, reflect quietly on this. If your reality has been responding perfectly to who you have been, who would you need to become for your life to feel aligned rather than pursued? If this message resonated with you, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next chapters of this journey into consciousness, identity, and alignment. Continue watching on the final screen and allow this exploration to deepen even further.